Well, hello there, folks. It's your favorite weather guy. As the crisp autumn air begins to settle in on this fine day of September 23rd, 2025, our thoughts are already turning to one thing: winter. Cozy sweaters, hot chocolate, and for many of us, snow. Whether you love it or you'd rather stay inside, knowing what to expect from the upcoming winter is on everyone's mind. Will it be a winter for the record books with snow piling up day after day, or will it be a milder season giving us a little bit of a break? These questions are not just for fun, they help us plan our lives for the months ahead, from our daily commutes to our holiday travels. Every year, families, city planners, and even kids hoping for a snow day all look to the sky and wonder what's coming. A big snow forecast can mean stocking up on groceries, getting the snow tires on the car, and making sure the shovels are ready to go. For businesses, it's a matter of preparing for potential closures, and for ski resorts, a forecast calling for heavy snow is the best news they could possibly receive. It's amazing how a few flakes of frozen water can have such a big impact on so many people across the United States and Canada, which is why we take these long-range forecasts so seriously. In this special forecast, we're going to dive deep into the winter of 2025 to 2026, so grab a warm drink, get comfortable, and let's talk about the weather together. To understand what makes a winter special, we first need to know what's normal. Let's start our tour of a typical North American winter in places where snow is a very rare visitor. Sunny Florida, southern Texas, southwestern California. Many people can go their entire lives without ever seeing a single snowflake fall from the sky. On average, these areas are in what we call the no-snow zone. While a freak flurry might happen once every few decades, it's certainly not something anyone expects or plans for in a typical year. Moving just a little bit north, northern Florida, southern Georgia, parts of the Gulf Coast. This is the area where you might get a dusting or up to about 3 inches of snow for the entire winter season. In these locations, a snowfall event is big news. It might happen only every other year or even every few years. The snow that does fall usually melts very quickly, but it's enough to create a lot of excitement and give people a brief, magical taste of a real winter wonderland. As we continue our journey northward, let's talk about the band that typically sees between 3 and 6 inches of snow annually: Carolinas, Tennessee, Arkansas. Here, snow is a more regular part of the winter experience, though it's still not a weekly occurrence. A few snowfalls a season are common, enough to build a small snowman or have a good snowball fight. Finally, in this first look at average snowfall, we have the regions that get between 6 and 12 inches of snow each year. This is the zone where having a snow shovel in the garage is not just a suggestion, but a necessity for getting through the winter months. Now we're getting into the parts of the country where winter really starts to show its muscle. A huge portion of the United States, stretching from the Central Plains all the way to the East Coast, falls into the category of receiving 12 to 24 inches of snow in an average year. Kansas, Missouri, southern Illinois, much of the Ohio Valley. In these regions, snow is not just a novelty, it's a regular feature of the season. People living here are well prepared for winter weather and expect several storms that can bring significant accumulations. Winter boots, a warm coat. The challenge with forecasting for these areas, especially out west, is the dramatic change in elevation. The mountains can create their own weather. However, in the flatter central and eastern states, the patterns are a bit more predictable. This 12 to 24 inch zone represents a true middle ground. It's enough snow to cause disruptions, but not so much that life comes to a complete standstill for weeks on end. It's the kind of winter that many people picture when they think of a classic American winter scene, with snow-covered fields and frosty window panes that make staying inside by a warm fire feel extra cozy. Let's climb a little higher on the snowfall ladder to the next level, which is the 24 to 36 inch range. Now we're talking about some serious snow: northern plains, Iowa, southern Wisconsin, northern parts of Indiana and Ohio. It also includes some of the higher elevation areas in the Appalachian Mountains. In these regions, winter is a dominant season. Snowfall is frequent and can be heavy, and the snow that falls often sticks around for a long time due to colder temperatures, creating a landscape that remains white for much of the season. For the people living in these parts of the country and Canada, dealing with snow is just a part of life. As we move into the higher snowfall totals, we enter what are famously known as the snow belts. These are regions that consistently get hammered with snow, often receiving between 36 and 48 inches on average. One major zone is the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. The immense moisture from the Great Lakes fuels lake-effect snow, cold air blowing over warmer lake water, creating massive bands that can dump feet on nearby shores. Michigan, Wisconsin, New York near the lakes. Another heavy snow region runs along the Appalachian Range up into New England. Weather systems move west to east and are forced to rise over the mountains. That upward motion cools the air and squeezes out moisture as heavy snow, a process called orographic lift. A valley city might see rain, while higher elevations get pounded with snow. Upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire. Now we look at areas averaging 48 to 72 inches per year. Winter is a way of life here. Mountainous West Rockies, Sierra Nevada, California, Cascades. In these high-elevation areas, the snowpack feeds spring melt and water supplies for millions. It's also a paradise for skiers and snowboarders who flock here for world-class powder. Back east, extreme totals occur in intense lake effect zones in the Northeast's highest peaks. They are perfectly positioned for nor'easters, which can bring blizzard conditions and feet of snow in a single event. Now that we have a good understanding of what a normal winter looks like, let's turn our attention to the exciting part. The forecast for the upcoming winter of 2025 to 2026. This isn't just about looking at past averages, it's about understanding the big weather patterns that will shape our season. One of the most important factors we look at for long-range forecasting is the temperature of the Pacific Ocean. This year, all signs are pointing to a developing La Niña pattern. La Niña is the cool sister to El Niño. It happens when the surface waters in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean become cooler than normal. So, what does a La Niña mean for our weather? Think of it as a giant force that shifts the jet stream, which is the fast-moving river of air high up in the atmosphere that steers storms across North America. During a La Niña winter, the jet stream tends to take a more northerly track. It often brings colder, stormier weather to the northern parts of the United States and Canada, while leaving the southern part of the country warmer and drier than usual. The strength of the La Niña matters too. Right now, we are expecting a weak to moderate La Niña, which gives us some important clues about the winter ahead. It's very important to understand that this is a forecast of chances, not guarantees. Predicting weather months in advance is incredibly complex, and other factors can come into play. One of the biggest wildcards is timing. For snow to happen, you need two key ingredients: cold air and moisture. You can have record-breaking cold, but if there's no moisture, you won't get any snow. Likewise, you can have plenty of storms, but if the temperature is just a few degrees too warm, you'll get rain instead of snow. Our forecast is based on the likelihood of these two ingredients coming together at the same time. Based on this developing La Niña pattern, we are expecting a winter of two very different stories. With the La Niña pattern expected to guide our weather this winter, the storm track is likely to be shut down for a large part of the southern United States. This means the Southwest is the primary region where we are forecasting a below-average chance for snowfall. California often relies on a more southerly storm track for winter moisture. Nevada often relies on a more southerly storm track for winter moisture. Utah often relies on a more southerly storm track for winter moisture. Arizona often relies on a more southerly storm track for winter moisture. New Mexico often relies on a more southerly storm track for winter moisture. During a La Niña, that track gets pushed north, leaving these areas high and dry. This could be concerning, especially for mountainous regions that depend on a deep snowpack for their water supply. It's important to put this into perspective. Many of the mountain ranges in the Southwest, Sierra Nevada, the Rockies, get a tremendous amount of snow in a normal year, often over 72 inches. So, even in a below-average year, they will still likely see more snow than most of the country. A below-average winter in the high mountains of Utah could still mean many feet of snow. However, for communities and ecosystems that depend on those massive totals, any significant deficit can have serious consequences for water resources and the ski industry. The further southwest you go, the more confident we are in this forecast for less snow. The primary reason is the lack of precipitation. In the west, especially in the high mountains, it's almost always cold enough for snow in winter. The limiting factor is moisture. With the La Niña pattern steering storms away from this region, there will simply be fewer opportunities for snow to fall. Now for the news that many of you have been waiting for. While the south and southwest might be drier, the La Niña pattern is setting the stage for a potentially epic winter across the northern half of the country. We are forecasting an above-average chance for snowfall for a huge area, stretching from the Pacific Northwest, the Northern Plains, the Great Lakes, into the Northeast. The main reason for this is a combination of two key factors: colder than average temperatures, and an active storm track. The jet stream is expected to dip south over the central and eastern United States, opening the door for cold Arctic air to plunge southward. Combine that blast of cold air with an active storm track bringing moisture from the Pacific and the Gulf of Mexico, and you have the perfect recipe for snow. And lots of it. For most central and eastern states, temperature is the deciding factor. In past warmer winters, storms that might have been big snowmakers turned to rain. In past warmer winters, storms that might have been big snowmakers turned to rain. This year, colder temps mean many of those storms will likely fall as all snow, boosting totals. We're even more confident for a focused corridor: the northern plains, the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and New England. The northern plains, the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and New England. Those areas are expected to be colder than normal and receive above normal precipitation. Colder air plus more storms, it's a slam dunk for above average snowfall. A jackpot scenario for snow lovers and ski resorts. If you live in these northern tier states, get your snowblowers tuned and boots ready, because this winter could be one for the books. So, what does all this mean for you? Whether you're in a zone expecting more snow or less, being prepared for winter is always a smart idea. If you live in one of the regions with a high chance for above-average snow, like the northern plains or the northeast, now is the time to get ready. Make sure your home is well insulated to keep the heat in and the cold out. It's also a great time to put together a winter emergency kit for your car. This should include things like blankets, a flashlight, extra batteries, non-perishable snacks, water, a first aid kit. You never know when you might get stuck in a storm. Getting your vehicle ready for winter is also crucial. Check your tires to make sure they have good tread. Or consider switching to snow tires. Make sure your battery is in good shape. Make sure your snow shovels or your snowblower are in good working order. There's nothing worse than waking up to a foot of snow, only to find that your equipment is broken. A little preparation now can save you a lot of headaches later on. Even if you're in an area expecting less snow, like the Southwest, it's important to remember that winter can still bring surprises. A single unexpected storm can cause major problems, especially in places that aren't used to dealing with snow and ice. The most important thing you can do is stay informed about the weather in your specific area. Always be sure to follow the latest updates and any watches or warnings from official sources like the National Weather Service in the United States and Environment Canada. So, stay prepared, stay informed, and here's to a safe and wonderful winter, no matter what the weather brings.